So again, here there is a link. Whoa. Sorry about that. But actually, from the site that we've been yesterday, you could. There is a tab of second day, so you just don't need to remember something. If you remember where we've been yesterday, that way you can find this and choose the other.
No, by the way, I was.
So here there is first day and second day, so it's the same site.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether it would be possible to get your presentation as an offline material.
As an offline material,
Yeah.
I can send you an HTML file. It's actually on the GitHub, so you just download. Or you want something like PDF stuff,
Yeah.
but until is it possible to just create a PDF from the HTML that you see on that now?
No.
I think it's possible.
Sure.
So it's something like try to print and then print
Yeah,
the
we
PDF
print
file.
the PDF.
Yeah, I know,
Print,
yeah.
print,
But
print
it's going to be okay.
No?
Well, anyway. I mean, well, you know, well, people are different, and I tend to lose links, but I tend not to lose files.
Okay. But
And
you could.
if I'm going to use this stuff, I'd rather like to have a manual, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, if you download, if I will send you an HTML file that you could download now, actually, you could use it. Other way, if you want a PDF file, you could print it to PDF file. It would be more or less okay. I've never done this with this kind of stuff. Even if it will be worse than you expected, then just mail to me and I will need a Word file for you from this. Okay. First, there is some node libraries in R. So if you have some library and you switch sessions, you need to load library again, like a lamp. So for instance, you could buy a lamp, but if you want the light, in that case you need to set the lamp in your room. So just buying a lamp, it's not downloading a package, it's just buying a lamp. And the library link something is turning on the light. So don't forget to turn on the library. First, what I wanted to show you today is little tiny stuff about file management. So here there are some examples. So after you uploaded this, after you loaded the library, this adjective and consonant dataset is available for you. So this means that actually you could. So here is this dataset. We've discussed this yesterday. So it's some languages, some column with the whether you know or yes whether there is adjectives in this language, number of consonants and number of vowels. So this simple table that you have in R, and what if you want to download it somewhere on your computer and change something and then upload it again. So for these purposes, we need to know two functions. First is getVD and second is setVD. GetWD is get working directory. So if you pump this to the console, for instance, here, you'll see my working directory. So it's home and read line 0 and something. If you prefer some other, so for instance, if you prefer, it will be different on your computer, I hope. But if you want to change it, in that case you easily do something like this. You set working directory and choose any path you want.
On the machine I'm working.
Sorry?
On that very machine. that are
Yeah,
working.
on that very machine.
Okay.
It's not really the case for RStudio Cloud. There, the structure will be a little bit different because there will be a folder structure of this cloud system, not on yours. But I hope that you just create some folder for me and provide a path there, and you could then provide something like, probably it will help you, even if you're in RStudio, you could go somewhere at work, I don't know, materials, and so on. I just tap when I printing this, and I don't need to write it down by my hand, but there is auto completion, so you can use tab button to help you. Okay. So,
Should we all create any
sorry?
folder? Should we all create something?
It's nice to create folders somewhere. And there is some information for this class. We will need something.
And why?
Actually, it's possible to do with the from R, but I can't remember the comment.
We have comment here that use backslashes, not slashes, and there you use slashes.
Yeah, you don't need to use backslashes, it's for Windows users. So in Windows, all the paths that you have are
And other slashes. Sorry, in Windows.
in Windows they're backslashes.
Yeah, that's
So don't use them.
So we don't use backslashes.
Sorry, I've read something different.
Yes.
My fault.
Use backslashes now.
No, we use forward slashes, not backslashes. That's especially for Windows users. Only for Windows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll change it on the website.
Okay, I'm in trouble.
And you are in little trouble
Yeah, I'm in trouble.
because you have.
No, I have a question.
Да. А у них нет дисков, это корень Linux, это корень.
Хорошо, а у меня...
Можно на секунду?
Я хочу
Так он не видит твой диск, это же облако, помнишь?
Да, то есть я не могу ничего сделать.
На своем диске ты потом его скачаешь. Смотри, мы здесь можем сделать new folder, как-нибудь ее назвать, после этого уже к ней обращаться. So if you in the RStudio Cloud, you have some troubles because it's not direct on your PC but in the cloud, but you could download everything from there. Yep.
Did I didn't type it right?
No, yeah, it's not
It
correct.
says can change.
So it has to be backslashes?
So it's something, maybe you have this maps on yours.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was it.
That's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you please?
Because the full path is not Voronovo, but it's okay. Okay. Yeah, but the full path is actually cloud project and so on. And I think it really works. Yeah. So it's quite the same for this.
И должно при этом кончаться на...
I think it's, you could do this or not. It's not really important. Okay.
Well, you know, these fine syntax things are essential because if you don't know them, you get nowhere.
I know, and you're right that you're asking, and I hope that I answered it. So in that way you created some folder, and then this is your working directory, so everything you write down and download will be from this folder, exactly. And then we're ready for writing down a CSV file. Oh, I haven't changed this? Let's change. Okay, this CSV file. So write CSV, adjective, and So first argument is the data frame that I want to write down, and this is the file that I want to create. And for some reason, I thought that I'd change it, but I didn't. The better strategy here, let me create some folder somewhere. So I change this to this, and then I copy and paste this. And first I need to apply for the so after these comments, I have in my folder that I've created a new file, my file name CSV, that I could open with some kind of Excel in limits. And it asks me which, I think it will be this way, not this way. And after here I have this data set here. So you could change everything. There is only one ugly thing, that this row, this column is here. If we don't need this column, you could add something like additional argument, row names equal false, and in that way I could reload this. And there is only my data that I have here. So 19 languages, and this is the more or less Excel that you could use. I hope that there won't any problem in opening it in Excel, but here there is some tricks about the Word, Microsoft Excel, how to open it there.
Just click on it.
Yeah, but you have these comma separated values, they are not a table.
They're fine, because it's a CSV file. They're
Okay.
fine.
So, is there anybody here who have problem with opening CSV files on the
So, but
computer?
it's
Is it possible to do it
comments.
from the code?
Sorry, from?
Is it possible to do it from the code?
Yeah, but you need to, sorry? No, you need to download it. Could you press here? And I think more. Expert. Download.
Я так понимаю, сохранять изначально, указав, что разделение определяется. Да, еще.
Yeah. So,
Да, у нас Excel открывает CSV с запятыми.
yeah. But I hope that anybody here just know how to make Microsoft Excel opening it with as a normal table like here.
Do we need a normal table?
Not for now,
Is it
but
essential?
later.
Not really.
It's not okay, but. So my idea generally it's just CSV file, so it's comma separated values and you could handle it. But I can't remember. There is a simple option how to open it in Microsoft Excel in correct way and not with the comma separations. But I don't want to do it now. So the next stuff will be how to upload files to R. So here again we have two options. So loading data to R have two options. First I use just another function read CSV file. And then I could provide two things. First it could be a URL address. And then it's something from GitHub or something. So this is the from autotype database. It's about neural classifiers. So you just pop up there a link and you get the table. Another option, just put there the full path to your file, or just the name if this file is in your working directory. So in that way, you can just use this.
So you use the same function, read the CSV and then the path?
Yeah. So here this is example with path. Here there's example with path, but I could use and here there's example with a file that we've seen now. So it's the path, the full path. So it will work fine for me. And actually, since my working directory is the same, I could use in this way. So I don't need to provide the whole path if the file is in my working directory.
How can I get this
Oh.
table?
Okay, so now.
What?
I can't get this table even in R.
I think you could.
So when I
Have you loaded the library? Maybe that's the origin.
it was
No, but you don't have it. Oh, you could write it. Okay. And now you have it in here. Files.
Yes.
And it's here. My file.
It's not so big. A bit towards.
Okay. So from this point, I think that you have some feeling that prompt some data to R and get some data from R is more or less doable task. So then we move further, and there is one point in talking about the data that you get to the R or get from R is missing values. So imagine that you have some missing values in your data. In that case, when you upload this to R, so you have table and there is one blank cell, for instance. In that case, R will automatically change it to a value that is called NA, and this just means missing value. It's not bad.
Are you sure it always does it automatically and correctly? Well, at least I saw a colleague of mine who helped me with some
I
stuff.
think that it's
First
automatic.
inserted NAs manually into all blank cells of the table, and then
Okay, it's possible that it's not, but in that case, it was written to R in not appropriate way. So it's not basic R function, but some package. But I think in most cases it will.
Can you explain what does 5 and 4 do? You choose the row?
No, it's just a simple vector. So C
Yeah,
is
C.
coordinate vector 5, 4, and NA. And what this row is just showing you that there is a function is.na that will show you that the first value 5 is not NA, second is not NA, and the last is NA. So there is a function that show you whether you have NAs in your data. And so the really nice stuff in R is there is some conversion stuff, so you could just sum this row and this, in that case false became zeros and true became 1. So actually if you have such a thing, in that case you could easily just count how many missing values you have in your data. Just summing this up. So you must remember about this. Remember that it's not bad to have missing values, but for some functions it just won't work correctly if you have missing values. So for instance, if you have missing values in the vector with NA, it won't count mean, median, or any other simple statistic stuff for you. Okay, so this was a little part of programming, and then come back to the link typology stuff that I've started showing you yesterday. So today I want to show you, first I want to move this. First I want to show you a pop-up boxes. So I mentioned that we have the this data frame that we've seen yesterday, so Areal, Berlin, Polish, Russian, Bulgarian, and then there's some features folder. And then I want to show not only this feature, but some other information about these languages. And pop-up boxes are really nice tool for this. So I click on a dot, and then I have a lot of bunch information folders. So it's some information from so here we see an affiliation. So if you want to do this, so here is the simple way. It's creating a data frame. Then I create a new variable in my data frame. So it's just creating a new column that's called pop-up. And then I want to write their information about affiliation used that I take by language from the data frame column language. So this will automatically create me some affiliation stuff, so we could easily just play with run this. And then I show you the F. It's rather long, but it's something like have 5 languages, so language, feature, and the last column is pop-up, like this. And then we could easily just use the argument pop-up, and then you have a map with the information in your boxes. This is really cool tool. Why? Because actually you could add there any information you want, any amount of information you want, and any formatting you want. Why? Because these kind of pop-up boxes allow to use HTML coding there. So it could be, for instance, examples. So if you want to provide an example, okay, I just create another pop-up, and this will be, looks like says, and then tag, HTML tag BR, then my glossing, then BR again, and translation. And this is what I'm doing for each language. So first is Areal, second is Bavarian, then Polish, then kind of Russian, and the second kind of Bulgarian, I hope it's correct. So I created each value that I wanted is a string. So that's why it's in the sticks. So you need to use different kind of parentheses. So either you use double parentheses or single one. So they shouldn't be mixed in it. So that's why I use single parentheses here. So I go here is written with one parenthesis, then it ends with one parenthesis, and then this final parenthesis. It's possible to mix them, but it's tricky. What I achieve from this is the map that I actually have something like this. So Polish, idę, then glossing, then I go. And probably it's not nice, it's not true glossing, because it's not table, so it's not aligned, but it's really solvable problem. So I could create a table there, an invisible table, so it will be a nice example on your map. So you create a table, and then you create some examples here. Could be reference or something, or even link for something. And now is the time for questions. You have a look like something is like you're in
It's
trouble.
completely irrelevant. No, I don't have any trouble. Well, I did, but somehow it was solved, and I didn't understand why it was solved. For a while, it wasn't plotting the map. It wasn't generating a map.
Mhm.
So, well,
And then I come in.
I just hit return a couple more times, and then it did. And I didn't see. I don't like magic. I don't understand.
Because of the internet connection, it takes some time.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's because of rendering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind. It will draw a point for you, but the
But
background
it
is
took
downloaded from internet.
Okay, it took a long while.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wasn't quite clear why it was.
Again.
So, and I have a completely irrelevant comment.
Am I right? Am I kosher to say that to use pop-up feature for any like table with 100 dots? It's obviously easier to add this pop-up in C3 files or in Excel.
Yeah.
I mean, not in the code because it's going to be
Yeah,
less-
absolutely. So if you have 1,000 of code, it's better. 1,000 of dots, it's better to just automatically create a new column with the pop-up you want. So
I mean, you don't offer. There is no nice way to add long strings, a lot of pop-ups in RStudio. It's better to use XLS. I mean,
I'm not sure because it's
I mean-
actually that I'm doing all your pages that you have are created in R. Only because there was a really long string that added to your name from the left part and from the right. So long string in R, everything okay.
If I want to have many information in pop, it's impossible.
It's possible, just organize your pop-up in some way, then paste the string in the way you want. So
But it has to be one string, one.
finite, yes, but you could just combine from the different sources.
By the way, there is no limit for the length of the string, so if I forget to use BR, the HTML, this HTML code, it's gonna be the whole string.
Yeah. If you don't use VR, just I go move here. Not nice, but. The next stuff and the beautiful stuff that I really like to show with the this that you could use, you could provide there some video and audio. So the next one is how to say moon in several sign languages. You could see the French one. Then close and look up for the Russian one. And compare this for the US one. Hello. What's up? That's it. And so on. So you could use there any kind of HTML code. Say it could be everything. It could be your website. It could be something. So for now this is of this size, but you could increase this size or decrease this size. Everything could be changed. So it's really nice, and you have for my thinking, you have an enormous amount of data that you could put in that way. It's not. It won't be really nice to scroll down and look it through, but at least you can do this.
So, but we don't have the code for that.
It's on my GitHub page. So, okay. I could redo this with the code. Code is something like second day.
possible now.
I want the code for like putting the videos on.
Just a moment.
Like
It's
create
already on the GitHub, so
I mean, that's really cool.
then you just upload it, reload this page, and I hope it will show you the code. Is it?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet. So pop-up boxes, and yeah.
So it will be there for the, I don't know, during the minute.
Okay.
We'll check it
We're
out.
too impatient.
So the next part is about shapes, and actually it's about the what if you want to use these kind of maps in your publications. In that case, not all publishers like colors, so in that case you want to use something like shapes. And this is not the most beautiful map that I've ever created. For some reason it's not visible. Legend is not visible. So here I have the previous map that I've shown, and everything, if you don't have adjectives, it's dot, and if you do have adjectives, you have a triangle. Actually, after a couple of minutes, I will show you how to change a tile, and then you could create full black and white map with all the data. Yeah?
So which this code tells it to put the legend down?
Nothing. It's automatically.
It's automatically there.
Yeah.
When
Because
you
I
do
think-
the function feature, with the map feature, it always generates a legend as well.
Yeah.
Only-
Otherwise, you said no, because I don't really like maps without legend.
Well,
I
no, I don't do.
But there is a problem when, for instance, you have a lot of features, something like 100 features, and it's unfortunately won't fit in any legend. So in that case, there is an option to turn off the legend.
Well, maybe then you do separate, it depends how you're gonna use these features. It's not gonna be legible anyway, if you're gonna be just stacking them on one of the same map. You wanna be putting them one after another, so it's not gonna be this kind of a map that you want. 1,000 features is not feasible to put on a picture product, because this is a picture product, no matter how dynamic it is. Still a
You're
picture
right,
product.
but actually 200, yes, but if, for instance, you have something 30 and it's more or less, if you want to create a map of all languages of the world, you don't want to have legend of this, but you could zoom everywhere and to see the actual values of features. So, for instance, if I want to create a map of the language of the world according to the affiliation, in that case it's nice to have it's nice not to have legend with all colors, but you could zoom in and see what's going on.
Can the legend be scale dependent?
I can't do this.
Depending
Yeah,
on
but
the pop-up, depending on the scale?
I can't do this, but it's really nice idea. But probably to have legend, if you could, so you zoom in and then change legend.
Yeah, because in the Esri products you have labels. I mean, you can set the labels to be depending on scale, and the same thing with any.
I think it's
any
doable,
element
but it's not
of the map.
doable with link typology, but it's doable. And
Yeah,
it's nice thing
Yeah.
to think about. I'll think about this. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so what if you don't like circles and triangles? You could use labels of your own. So for instance, here I provide shape and provide a vector with minus and plus, and then they appear to be, yeah, so plus is, that means that you do have adjectives here, minus that you don't have adjectives here. Again, it's not the most nice map that I've ever created, but anyway, you could provide your own stuff here, and that's really beautiful. So for instance, when you create a map with the sound changes or something, you could just put on the map the corresponding sound that you want. So for instance, you have ch and sh for some dialects or something, and you just put it on the map. And the last thing that I've seen once, really nice maps, and I decided that I can't create it then, and then this could be important too. So for instance, what if you have a lot of points, you have black and white map, but you don't want to, you want to have annotation for all of them, and you don't have a lot of place for taking here. For instance, you have 2 and 9, and if you place Korean and what is it, Japanese, they will be overlapped. It will be not nice at all. So in that case, you could just use numbers, and then there will be separate annotation for this.
Okay, but this map doesn't show this. Well, recall that this is a map of objective and number of consonants, so it doesn't seem to show the relevant feature.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm just showing that there is a possibility to use the numbers as denoting for.
Yeah,
so every point is different.
Yeah, very good. But if I want, for instance, to use numbers and like different colors for
You probably
what's
can't
relevant
here,
for
because all this stuff is created for black and white maps.
okay.
How did you change the
What was the point?
Font?
Yeah, probably.
It's probably because of my because I changed everything in my computer. So it's my computer render all websites with this kind of phone. Not. But you have the other.
About shape size, shape dot size equal, if it's 20, then predeterminate, you can make it smaller or bigger.
If you mean, you have a lot of control about this, so you could change the size and even color, so you could make them all red, for instance. Okay,
So you can make these points to show, for example, 2 different factors and what color stands for.
not yet, but I'm going to. Because somebody pointed me out that I can't do this with lingtypology, so in a couple of months it will be there. So it's something like Peter wanted actually. Could we color these points during some feature? For now, not, but I'm working
Well,
on
this
it.
means that you'll be taking information from 2 different attributes in the database. So you take the number and you take the value.
Yeah.
So,
So let's move on. And now we are starting to talk about the coordinates and how I handle this out. So what we've been talking about was something like language per point per one language, and it's not the case in the most cases in the world. If you don't need to do typology, but you want to do some dialectology, 1 point per language is not nice at all. So for these purposes, I want to show you the information about the dataset that holds suggestion, and it includes some suggestion villages I've been, and some of them that I've never. I've tried a lot. So it's this dataset with the suggestion villages in Russia. So it contains latitude, longitude, village name, district, dialect, and some other information. Probably it's language. Yeah, language. So it's Adigo, Kaburdan, and so on. And as you can see somewhere, you can't see. Okay.
why don't I have the ISO code?
It's easy to create another column with this. Just use ISO code. ISO.lang from the language column, and then you have ISO code. And the same for block code. So then I have this latitude and latitude and longitude, and what I expect here is the don't use degrees. Sometimes you could find some degrees, minutes, and seconds. In R, I use only this decimal point and not this degree, minute, second stuff. So what if I want to plot this on? I just use map feature. I use all common arguments that I have, and then I have two arguments, latitude and longitude. And so what do you see here? I still want to have a language argument, since there is it's still some points corresponding to some languages. And then I want to color them by dialect, label them by village, and coordinates will be taken from the same database. And I want to have some title suddenly, but it's optional. So this kind of map looks like this. You have Circassian dialects. And you can zoom somewhere and know that this is Западный, Октябрьская, here is Puляp, and so on. And that you can create easily from any table that you have with coordinates. So if you have coordinates from somewhere, you could use this. What else could you do?
Okay, but
Something, two questions that are not.
what if get coordinates from somewhere if coordinates my source provides on minutes and seconds?
Oh, it's really easy to
Yeah,
convert
well,
them.
I understand that it's easy to convert, but again,
And I hope that it could be converted back if this is a question.
There are tools, may I?
Yeah.
There are tools on the web. You just type conversion from degrees minutes seconds to decimal degrees, and that they'll do this for you.
And I can create a function that will do this with your table, and you don't need to provide any pair of coordinates and somewhere in the web. Just by
So
pair
you,
or pair.
you feed in a table with something and with those if you have them, and then it returns decimal degrees.
Okay, and your questions?
Just, can you repeat again? How did you do exactly coloring this thing? It did automatically, right?
Yeah. Coloring is automatic.
So if I don't set it to shape, it's automatic. And another question is, I don't see label for village.
Okay.
Yeah.
Labels are shown when you cover it by mouse. But you could add an argument, hide something, label not hide. Equal
So
false.
automatically it's when I hover over.
Yeah. Okay. So what next? First, you could change layout. So, for instance, what we've seen here was OpenStreetMaps, but we could see something like this. Not nice map at all, but it's just showing that you could provide any other tile that you like. Where to find different tiles? So it's just an argument tile where you provide some string with tiles. You can look up here. Here is the page. Oh, it's not nice. Okay. And you could just zoom there. So for instance, I'm in the code list. And then you could just choose what kind of tile you want. So you have something like this, I think. So maybe you like this style, or this style, or this style, or this style.
I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention, I'm sorry.
There is a link in the
In
Tile
the
art.
directions?
it's
Okay,
it's on the second day.
yes, yeah.
And then could you click set layouts?
Okay,
So here there's a
okay,
here
one more time.
with control.
With control.
Yeah. Control and click. Control and click at the same time. Yeah. So you
Okay.
don't lose this.
Yeah, I see. Okay,
So-
thank you.
So then you could choose any tile you want, and it will be on the back part of your maps. So points are stuff that you created by your points. And if you want to have something like this kind of map, okay, just have it.
Okay, but what should be changed in the R code in order to?
Yeah. So here on the top.
You're sort of assuming we are a bit more clever than some of us are.
But I really
I
like
myself.
to have you in the class. Picking
Yeah,
me back. on
Yeah,
the-
and you know, I know people who would never ever ask silly questions. They would weep and go out and not learn anything, but they would never ever ask silly questions.
Hope it's not the story. of
Well,
your
it's
life.
not. Well, it's not me. I'm not shy of asking silly questions, but I know people who are.
Okay, I'm really sorry for this. Here on the top, we have the name, provider names for leaflet providers, and this is Thunder Forest Spinal Map, as you see, dot spinal map. You just copy this name and provide to this part that to the tile argument. So here you have tile argument and this, no, the title, but tile. And here I wrote open total map, and here you provide the other provider's name, and then it will be changed. Unfortunately, some providers are not allow you to use the tiles because, so they do it in the ugly way, so they use, you really like something, then you create it in R, and then you see some ugly writing here, for instance, that is not allowed to use somewhere. But in most cases, you could choose something. Why it's important? It's really important because it's possible to choose a tile with the writing that you like. So, for instance, here it's Cyrillic, but what if you want to have Latin or English writing on the top, or not, or exactly nothing on the map? This could be done by this set of tiles that provided by different organizations.
Yeah, because it's actually important to, you know, to have, well, all these things written in English or in Russian, because the default pattern in Google Maps is just ridiculous.
Yeah, but they do translate it according to URL.
Eric, can you repeat again?
Well, if
where
I'm in
do I
Sweden,
find
they
the list
go for
of
Swedish. If
available
I'm
tiles?
in Bulgaria, they go for Bulgaria.
Yeah, but
So-
it's your,
And it's here, press control.
okay, and if I'm,
Then you have,
well,
You don't like the
I
Russian?
have it here.
so for instance,
well, I don't
from here,
know, well,
then
for
we'll
this,
be here,
when
we
you
have
have
How
this,
am I
Okay.
to find this list
Okay.
it gave me street names and
No, you can't.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't find
Oh.
this one.
So it
And
goes, it
useless,
doesn't
and
go,
useless.
it
Here.
doesn't go by,
So you have tile, and then you
and
change
also
the
it
but in this
goes
one
by
writer,
your operating
you have the
system.
name.
Probably, and then
Yeah.
you
And
can
this
have
name
the
could be changed, for instance, you can change. Find it.
Thai, and then next to
Okay.
it in Thai. It's very beautiful, but it's useless.
Yes, okay. I think, I'm not sure, I think this can be changed somewhere, but I can't remember. If I remember, I'll show you.
So what's next? We could
Wait,
use, actually, if you want to show your map, for some reason it doesn't show on my, okay, and probably it doesn't show, you don't have it either, but it's because OpenStreetMap black and white for some reason is broken down. But you could have these different tiles and just switch, have a switch between them. So you could show different stuff. So for instance, here you have something like more geographical patterns. And you see more clearly where there are mountains, where there is a river. And then you change and see something else, more simpler, or roads, or even with more tricks, it's possible to add their old maps if you work a lot on this. So this is a really beautiful part that I hope that you have a feeling that you start to have a be manager of your map. So the next stuff is about the different visualization stuff for different features. So for instance, you have two numeric variables and you want to have them both on your map. Silly stuff, but you could do this with this. It's mini chart data, and this is more or less complex part, because you have mini chart data as a separate variable, and then you need to choose which columns will be used for this stuff. So here I choose vowels and consonants. So on each map I have number of consonants and number of vowels, and don't think that I don't have any values. If you click on this, they will be there. So here in Tlingit we have 5 vowels and 43 consonants.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
A little bit about the feedback about the tiles. Is there a tile or any option that I switch OpenStreetMap from the practice to label geographical objects in the local language? Because the first thing, if I make like an English article about, I don't know, Ukraine, no one would like Dnipropetrovsk Oblast.
Yeah, I said about this. You just need to use the other tile for this.
So
There are some tiles. There are some OpenStreetMap tiles that show you this with the English one.
like I mean, there are, I see only there, like in German, but
It's not in German. I can't remember actually now. But
so you have to look for it.
yeah. You just need to look for this.
Oh my god.
And why don't we use here in the names of columns this dollar symbol?
So yeah, because this is another way of working with data frame. You have this bracket square, like. I'm sorry. Like here, you have bracket square, and you have this comma, and then what it expects, it expects some indexes. So you can provide a vector with indexes for the rows before comma and for columns after comma. So you could use a vector of names here, but you could use either, for instance, 4 and 5, and that would mean that I want to have 4th and 5th column. So what you need here is an index and not a vector that contains. If you use a dollar sign, it will be a vector, and that's what you don't need.
So if I have both columns and rows, it will be one piece or?
So yeah, it will be 4, 3, comma, something else. If you want to select several rows and several...
No, I select rows and columns, or I select this...
when you don't have anything here, you select all rows.
Yes, but if I select both,
Interaction, yeah.
Ah.
So it will be intersection, yeah, intersection of both of them, yeah. And then here we have miniature bar. It's just show you that if you want to use
Just do it.
if you use another value, it will be a pie chart. I don't like pie chart at all, but the maps is the only way where sometimes there's no way to use not to use them. For
Why
instance,
don't you like pie?
because I think that by eye, you can't say by eye whether this bigger or this bigger.
Well, you can, actually.
Actually, I don't see it, in problem, but, you know, people are different, so.
No, because people are good on seeing what is higher and what is lower, but people are not good in deciding which angle is bigger and which angle is lower, unfortunately. So that's why I don't like pie charts.
So in this case, if you have only two colors, it's more or less, but if you have 3 colors already, it's quite hard to know the order, and with 3 bars, it's much easier to spot it.
And actually, talking about colors, I could color in that way that the brighter color will look smaller. So, for instance, if you have something like the same patterns but the opposite situation, you will have an illusion that the one angle is bigger if it's darker.
But the difference between bars also influence our perception. So if I have a high bar with even higher bar, it will be less high than another with the same.
Okay, so you can
Anyway,
you can say that one is 1.3 times bigger than the other, but we can.
Anyway, we could do something like this.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all this, both bars and bars are just visualization. If you need the real data, you have to look at the number, at the figures.
Yeah, but you could have it on the map.
Is it possible to add numbers to this?
Bar charts?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I did it. But they are not visible.
Right?
Because their size is adjusted to the size of the bars.
Is that right?
Well, if you zoom out,
Bars. Yeah, it's not nice and it's not visible at all, yeah. But it's there. I think you could change it to quick, so I... Source, and if I change the... do something like... Yeah, it's a little bit better. But this... not nice to listen at all. Yeah, it's tricky, and it's not beautiful all the time. But this is the most obvious stuff, actually. When you have blue one, but it's just covered by other.
Okay, I have a question, I don't know, you know, in Esri, when you generate symbols like this, you have an option of saying they're going to stay symbols, so feeding in values from the database. Or you say I want to turn them into a graphic. So they lose the connection to the database, but they become objects that you can manipulate. So that kind of stuff I can solve by turning them into graphic objects. And that means that I'm not I'm done with the map. I'm not working anymore. But I don't want this overlap to happen, so I turn everything into a graphic, and then I can take that particular thing and move it a little bit further.
I think, yeah, it could be the way I'm doing this. I just move it, but in the data. So I provide a fake coordinates for this. In that way.
Okay.
So I move just this only because it's more sufficient or something
Well, but
there.
if we're talking about reusing that data, so we publish that, then
Yeah,
you have
but it
fixed
will
coordinates.
be several rows. First row for the It's true coordinates and
Okay.
the second coordinates for the graph.
Okay, yeah, that's actually better because I mean, for like having a nice looking map, the Azure way is really cool because you're in control, but at the same time it turns it into something completely not usable because every time I turn
You need to
those,
redo this.
I have to redo the.
So if you want to change
yeah.
slides thing, then you need to redo all this
Well,
work.
if I have turned them into graphics, yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's a bit clunky.
Could you please show how you did the scale of numbers?
I just added width argument and equal 12 or
Most of
something.
the things is-
But I can
Yes,
show you.
Yeah,
They
okay.
all look the same.
Looks like this.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Okay.
It seems like they are scaled.
Touche.
Rescale, yeah. So it's rescale the object that we put. So it's point. If you have point, width will change, increase the point. And if you dot, for instance. If it is mini graphs, then the increase
Yeah,
In this case,
the
the
size of the
dot
dot.
can be divided, that makes sense, but
yeah.
to represent it in general.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. This piece of work that I really happy and not happy to present. First, what if I have a lot of dots and I want to have a polygon around them, but I don't want to do it manually? What if I'm lazy man? So we have two strategies for this. First strategy is that. Imagine that we have a lot of dots. Then we create a circle polygon with a fixed radius around this. And then if they overlap, they create a single polygon. So it looks like this.
They're not really circles.
Yeah, because there is a problem, because the Earth, for some reason, is not flat.
Isn't it?
And actually the problem that you can't treat longitude and latitude as a Cartesian scale. So that's why they are not circles at all. But the idea that you have circle here and you have circle here is that if they are overlapping, then this is the same polygon. And for most cases it works nice. So here I have really nice polygon that looks like this. And you could increase the radius, and then this polygon and this polygon will be the same one, or decrease, and then, for instance, this will be the same one. So you can control this. And this is the first idea and first strategy. From point of view of coding, it's just you have some feature density estimation, and then I provided this argument density estimation language as a parameter that I want to estimate. So this is why we have blue and gray colors here. So the blue and gray, and this is because we have convergent and polygon languages. We try to estimate where they are located. Density width here, 0.15, it's something like 15 kilometers, I think. Strange. But so it's some measure of the distance. So it's radius of this. So it's something like this.
Maybe it's degrees.
No, it's not a degree because it's something like this. And this is. Oh, it looks like. Okay, it will be 15 kilometers for today, but maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that it's something like. It's. I'm pretty sure that density width is something like radius, but I don't know what is the measure of this. So the next step, you could increase this. No, you could change this, or you could use density points equal false, and then you don't have points on it. So you could reuse these kind of polygons and something with it. But they're not so beautiful, and actually, from this point of view, they're really not nice at all. But you could do something like this. So, for instance, if you have a map of, I don't know, a lot of languages in Tibet, you will create a really beautiful map with the overlap that we have two regions and they overlap. If you have something like that, if you have tasks like this tool is really nice, and you don't need the work of creating it manually. The other strategy is different, is to use kernel density estimation. And it looks like, if you imagine something like mountains. You have geographic maps with mountains, you have some circles there. So that they denote the height of the mountain, yeah, and color. So we have this picture in mind. So this is called counter plot, and this is how they create this. So you have counter plot and just select some level of counter plots on this. Again, you need to provide two variables for kernel density estimation. It's the variables that make this for latitude and longitude stuff. So here they are equal. They are not. It's not the rule that they should be equal, and you could change them. And if you increase this, you will see this kind of polygon. If you decrease this way, you will see something this kind of polygon, and so on. So you could.
I don't understand what is this. What do this buffer means? I don't know.
It's trying to figure out where is the counter, where the most dense, the most dense amount of points. So it create something around per point. So here is the most dense point. So then this. So it's at some level of this counter plot.
Okay, so to know with the ones overlap, you're accounting for this overlap because you see.
It's not overlap then.
But I mean, in the overlap you don't see, you would see the same if this or double of dots overlapping. But if you have double of dots, this cloud will be bigger. That's the idea, because there's more density.
Yeah, if you have some dots from here, so this cloud will be bigger. Yeah.
And why do we have two coordinates? Like
Because it has a kernel density estimation for longitude and longitude. Because it's done for 2 dimensions. In both ways, it's ugly. But once it could create something really nice that you could use and not creating polygons by yourself. But actually to create polygon by yourself is not a big deal at all. So you could use this also.
Okay, so when we use kernel density estimation, we cannot distinguish between two languages here.
No, I think yes, we could.
So for two colors.
I think we
We
could.
do show
But
the
there
two
are two-
colors
But there
with
are two colors.
the previous version and
I think that I could do this, the same stuff with this. Yeah, so here we have two.
okay.
Oh, sorry. So these are two down.
May I ask a question?
Yeah? Sure.
Will we discuss, or is it possible to make a polygon not using dog method, but like just using a vector, pre-given vector to make a like a traditional map of.
So what if you want to create a polygon here by hand?
Yeah, to draw,
It's possible.
or I
It's
mean,
possible.
or just to say, if I just want to highlight administrative. Okay.
Yeah, it's possible too. So for instance, if you have administrative stuff, you could download this data from a lot of sources, and then
But
But
anyway, so
use
the
it in-
question is how not to use the dot method and just precisely cut out. So you see my question. So how to use
So it's two
vectors,
questions.
vectors,
Uh,
not dots for making polygons. So here we use dots, right?
and I will use dots all the time. But if you have polygon, you could provide a separate polygon to this map. And then you use this polygon and do
So the question is, so, say I have an old atlas. that has
It was not my
eyeglasses.
Nico partner, firstly. Then I just used this and automated in my package. So if you have an old map, then you create a polygon from this old map, and then you map there, and then overlap with the modern villages, and then you show that, for instance,
How can I make a polygon? Just if I just want to
because
draw it.
there are a lot of tools for this. You could do this in R, you could do this in OpenStreetMap. No, sorry, not Google Earth stuff. So it's just you need. It's a silly word because you have old map. You need to arrange somehow to the modern markers where it lays, and you have a lot of something like mounting somewhere, and probably it didn't move, and some borders they could change actually. So that's a really big work. So in the south, in the north, you have a lot of rivers, so you could work with rivers and align this. But then you need to just align this map, and only then, after you've done this, and this could be done in Google Earth stuff. And after that, you create a polygon that have this correspondence to the Earth, the modern coordinates, and then you could use something at modern villages.
So the basic answer is just to use Google Earth.
For now, yes.
So just look there. Okay.
For this kind of task.
I think I have a related question. Let's be specific. I have tried to register the Guthrie zones, the Bantu Guthrie zones, so that are familiar with that? Guthrie divided Bantu into zones, and they all have a letter and a number, and this is pure geography, no genealogy, but anyone who touches Bantu always has to refer to Guthrie. Okay. That's the map I'm talking about. So it's like a picture, and I want to correlate it with a bunch of other things. I have imported it. There is a way to, in the Esri jargon, this is called registering a map. You import a picture, and you provide points of coordinates, and then that picture is being plotted on the right, approximately the right place in Africa, and then you can draw these zones and turn it into something that you can really correlate with something else. Trouble is that I have completely failed to ever register that thing in Esri. I provided with coordinates, and it looks like it's going, and then it doesn't. And
I think the answer will be quite the same. You have some tools that when you could provide. So Google Earth is a tool where you could add a map, a picture as a picture. Then you try to figure out where is the fixed points on this, so you just pick them set, and then you just create a new polygons with these boundaries that you have here in letters.
Okay, so your answer is by Google Earth. Yeah. Thanks.
I thought about creating something for link typology, something like that, but it's really a lot of work with the finding fixed dots and something like this. This is the most ugly stuff.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I have registered like hierarchical maps. I've registered them for the linguistics when they were doing the LL map project. So it is a lot of work, and it's very time consuming. Really boring after a while.
Let's move on.
Okay, I have one more question.
Okay.
Do you have an argument for manipulating this polygon legend that's in the bottom? Because
Yeah, that's the
separate legend.
estimation legend of legend or something. Okay, where should we finish? Now?
So, yeah.
Now, okay.
Now.
Yeah.
I just want to fast answer some questions by Luba's lecture. Because here you could create a reticule that provide you this kind of stuff, and you see the coordinates for the one language. You could create minimap. So it's there, so I showed you yesterday. And you could actually do something like this.
Yeah.
You don't need.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Could you please translate reticule into
It's something like
The human.
yes?
it's these coordinates that you have and these lines that you have on the map. So this is called reticule.
Is it grid?
It's called the grid.
or something?
It's a
Yeah,
grid.
it's great.
Grid reticle.
Okay.
Cuts it out nicely.
And the last stuff that I haven't showed you was the other answer on the Lewis question. Is here we have two maps, and I actually manipulate them, as you see in the lab, just dragging one thing, so it's desynchronized. So you have see that there is here one Cubertian village, and you see what's going on here. And it's really easy to create, but then you need to store every map in a separate variable, and then put into the other function.
So this is where you create two data frames and you store.
No, it's one, for this one, since it's for synthesization, it's one data frame. You have one variable you want to facet, y, so here is the language. And then I provide, so here it's easier, much easier because it's the one data set. So I just create, with this code I create some faceted stuff, and I use this as an argument of this sync function. But the other way is to create a different maps. And I'll show you here. It will be the last thing that I want to show. So I have here I create one feature, one map with the Celtic languages, and another map with the Avar and D languages. First one looks like this. Second one looks like this. So there are two maps, and then what I'm doing, I'm just call library map view. It's another library. And then I use sync, and I have something like two maps.
Map view doesn't load on offload.
So it's something like this. So it's different maps, and it could be stored with different zooms. As I
Yeah, and okay, fine. I mean, different scales would be
Yeah.
like
It's
And
auto
can
scale
you-
when you try when you start working with this, but you could produce it with different scales. So
Right.
it's my answer to your question.
Okay, but
yesterday.
what I'm missing would be, I mean, I guess it's doable to have like some kind of indicator if with that, the map with the smaller scale would show where the
It will be
map-
here. So the scale there.
Well, but no, that's not what I mean.
What?
If you just zoom out, that one. Well, it zooms both. I want one to be zoomed out.
Yeah, I
and
know.
another one to be zoomed
I know,
in.
I get it.
So,
So now I started manipulating with this. What if I create this again? I haven't done. Oh no. think it should be done this way. Yeah. So I have something like this.
No.
So it's another function that is called lattice view, and that's it.
Map view doesn't load on offload.
Set story for
It
this.
requires another package. It says is the package GDAL utils.
No, it didn't tell me things like that. Could you probably come over?
But I know that it's something not if library is not installing in cloud, I just don't know what to do. Library mapping. Ah, no, it's not installed. You haven't installed it. Install package.
Do you have Windows?
No, it's RStudio Cloud, but in Windows.
Ah.
Map view. So if you want to install this, you need to install packages map view, and then use this. So that's all what I wanted. It's not all what I wanted to present here, but anyway, you have a link to materials for this lecture, and actually there are a lot of more materials on my website. So if you just Google link typology, I'm pretty sure that you will get on the correct website.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Oops.
Okay, takes some time.
О, это быстро было. Видите, рассказывал. Да. Да. Это такой датасет, который есть в линguistic. Это датасет конкретно, который я создал, потому что могу дать мои примеры. Вообще, как бы, в линguistic есть все языки, которые есть в каталоге.
You know, I have to tell you that you're doing what Austin now tried to do like 10 years ago when he and I started like learning this stuff. He was so happy because he wrote something that he called the core typology mapping tool. Because I think we didn't have money for either our entry or map, whatever mapping. So he was extracting like I think he was extracting some more tables and plotting. So he called it the core typology mapping tool. While this is what we were playing with. And then we somehow got money to involve Esri. At least he hates Esri, but I really know. So I
Try to work with RPGs, I think.
Yeah,
So it was really tough time.
Yeah, I think
But then
but you know, it is a very steep
It's a
me now, I work with it for 10 years and I find it very stable. But I felt like it's fine. But anyways, I want to tell you that you did what Austin wanted to do.
Don't know
10 years
people
ago,
are-
and I will make sure to let you know. Because, yeah, I think he uses Star, but I think he's more using now QGIS.
Yeah, he uses more like S3.
Yeah, this is exactly means
Yes.
they're all products, it's just the QGIS is open source and Esri is proprietary. So the difference is they have Python both, I know it is much better. But I read like
I see what-
reviews and comparisons and stuff, so they're very equal in many counts. And QGIS just requires the same time to invest to learn it. And the difference is that there you rely on internet fora and whoever is around to maybe help you. And that's really you pick up the phone and say, hey, I have a problem, and they really get back to you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that this,
yeah. Yeah.
this part of the
Yeah, I mean, they're horrible, they take so much money that it's, you know, you cannot afford it. I've never gotten the price from them, but they don't cite prices, but they work mostly with institutions, so an institution pays a hefty license. And on top of that, everyone, every single person who uses it has to pay. So I have just so far, I'm not on wood, but I'm paying them like something 100. It's, I mean, it's not gonna sound like. I think I paid €160 per year, which is maybe, but I cannot pay personally. It has to come from a grant. So this means that if I don't have a grant, then I don't have one.
Strange, because in Russia, you know, a lot of pirates, so they steal everything. So what I've tried to work was actually, it was
Okay.
free,
Okay.
and but it wasn't legal at all.
Okay,
But now I'm
what's
working-
the difference?
There is no any difference. Just
Okay.
it's not legal.
Okay, well.
I don't know whether
I mean,
they
I don't-
take my phone.
but because sometimes in Stockholm, like for instance, it is a problem for me to install it on my personal machine. I think it's part of the license, but yeah, I have to, but anyway, sometimes in Stockholm on my machine at school, it says, oh, you lost connection to the licensed server. So they somehow keep track of you. Yeah, so you see, they collect the institutional fee, which I think is like something horrible, and then if from each person who uses them, they collect something in style of €160. That's like big time money from one university, and they're like everywhere. But yeah, I mean, I know I sound like I work for them, and I really don't, but I've been to their conferences a few times, and they're nice because there's like a summer school in GIS. So it's not just they're selling a product, but they do have like some good school, which is why I stick with them. But Uston actually he doesn't want to hear anything about them. He hates them with a passion, and like no way, it's incomprehensible stuff and stuff. But
Yeah, they've done a
also,
lot of work, but they actually, it's the strategy. Actually, Windows versus Linux strategy thing.
is it?
Yeah, because when I created my package, I could do anything like this, but R is more Linux style thinking, so it's open source,
Yeah.
and I really get happy from this. Because first I get this R OpenSci team, I have the review of my package. So, for instance, Taras Harker and some geographer guy just looked for some functions and looked through the code, and they evaluated and provided something like review, and I was crying for the week because it was really like I've done something really ugly. But then I just pick it up and okay, you said that my package don't do this, and don't do this. Okay, I will do this, and this.
This is what you do with grim reviews. You know what I mean? You can cry.